From Wall Street to the Metroplex, this is 1160 AM KVCE.
The information provided during this broadcast belongs to the show host and is for general informational purposes only. Nothing that is discussed or taken as legal advice for any individual case or situation. This information does not and is not intended to create an attorney-client relationship, nor does receipt of or listening to the information provided constitute an attorney-client relationship.
Welcome to the Believers in Business Hour on KVCE AM 1160. It's time for Bar Talk with local trial lawyer Brad Parker, the attorney you want but hope you never need. Stay tuned, get informed, and get educated about your legal rights when you or a loved one have been seriously injured or harmed by the conduct of someone else or at the hands of an insurance company. Brad Parker has focused his law practice exclusively on trial work since becoming licensed in 1985 and is board certified in personal injury trial law by the Texas Board of Legal Specialization. And now, here's Bar Talk with Brad Parker, the attorney you want but hope you never need.
Welcome, everybody. I hope you've had a nice day. Hope the traffic's not too busy for you, wherever you may be traveling to. If you're tuning in on the live stream, I appreciate it. But you know this is Bar Talk, and I am Brad Parker, the attorney you want but hope you never need. Call in if you got any questions this afternoon. The number here is 214-787-1160. And, of course, you can always stream live at www.kvceradio.com. If you don't want to call in, you just want to email me, feel free to drop me an email. I'll try to catch it during the show and answer any questions you might have. That'd be brad@parkerlawfirm.com. If you can't have your question answered today on the program, always feel free to call me at my office. You can email me with your questions. I'll answer them anytime. Try to anyway. I always provide a free consultation, either over the phone or in person. My office number is 817-503-9200. That's 817-503-9200. There's a couple of things I want to talk to you about today, and if you saw the Facebook post, the jury came back last Thursday in a big case out of Bryan College Station area, awarding $27 million against McDonald's. They're at it again. I want to talk to you about that in a little bit more detail as the show progresses. But first, I want to talk about something else that was in the news recently and that I've started off almost every show with, and that is hot cars and kids. You know, I guess last Thursday, the 31st, was National Heat Stroke Prevention Day. And unfortunately, the day was the beginning of the day brought us a very, very tragic story out of, I believe it's Sylmar, 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 California, where the 19th victim nationwide perished in a hot car. This is just such a tragic deal. This happened the day before, and apparently the parents and the whole family were inside taking a nap, and the little 3-year-old got out of the house somehow and climbed into the back of the car. Door closed behind him, and he couldn't get out. And father woke up. They weren't sure how long the child had been in the car, but the father woke up couldn't find his child, went outside and discovered the child in the back of the car, rushed him to the hospital, but it was too late. You know, there was, I believe the statistics is around 27 or 35%, somewhere in that margin, of kids who aren't left there, but just crawl up into the back of the car. Cars are fun to play in. I mean, how many times as a kid growing up did you sit in the driver's seat and pretend like you were Mario Andretti, probably showing my age a little bit there, or somebody trying to imitate a race car driver, steering the wheels, trying to shift the car. We all did that. And, little kids are the same. today as they always have been, and they'll crawl into a car, find dangerous situations, and not be able to get out of the car. You know, we all child-proof our homes. We put the latches on the cabinets. We put them on the drawers. We hide all the chemicals, the drain cleaners, and so the children can't get to it. Yet we very rarely child-proof our cars. And it's something to think about. If you've got children, you ought to think about not only child-proofing your home, but child-proofing your car. And what I mean by that, number one and foremost is keep your car locked, no matter where it is, even if it's in the driveway, even if it's in the garage. You know, a garage can get extremely hot as well. Keep the car locked if you've got small children. Just prevent them from getting in. Encourage your friends and neighbors in the neighborhood to keep their cars locked so kids can't get in. You know, I saw an idea the other day. It's put a stuffed animal always in the car seat. And then that way, when you put the child in the car seat, you put the stuffed animal in the front seat with you. Therefore, you'll hopefully be reminded, if you got a big old bear riding up there front with you, that you got somebody in the back seat in that car seat. Call the child care place that you take your child to on a daily basis, or have them call you and tell you, hey, little Johnny's not here today. Is everything okay? Make sure that they call to follow up. Great reminders, even if you have your husband or spouse or grandparents or whoever taking the child to daycare, have them call you if the child doesn't show up. Then that way, maybe you prevent mom or dad or grandma or granddad from having a tragic accident, because this can happen to anybody. And I guess last but not least, cell phones. You don't need to be driving, talking, and texting on your cell phones. Put them in the back seat. Put them in that car seat or next to the car seat. I guarantee you, the way we've all become anchored to our cell phones, if you leave that cell phone in the car, you won't forget it for very long. And you'll go back and find the child still in the car seat. That kind of leads me to another thing that we've been talking about a lot. Some of you may remember that we had Jerry Wood, a good friend of mine out of Fort Worth, a criminal defense lawyer. He was on the show with me, I guess it was a couple of weeks back, and we were just talking about the high price that's involved with DWIs and DWDs, driving while distracted. That's the nomenclature now for cell phones and texting and those types of things, DWD. And one of the topics that we talked about was, had he seen, at least in Tarrant County yet, any instances where someone was involved in a car wreck, DWD, and the DA, the district attorney, actually prosecuting that driver for driving while distracted, much like they would for driving while intoxicated. And while there's no laws that are specifically on the books about talking and driving on the highways or byways, you still are responsible for being vigilant and paying attention to your driving. And if you don't, there are other laws that they could prosecute you under. Jerry told us that no, he hadn't seen it yet in Tarrant County, but that it was just probably a matter of time before it happened. And I was going through some stuff on the internet, getting ready for the show, and an article popped up about a young woman over in the UK who had been driving and apparently was speeding along, and she was talking on not one but two cell phones. She was texting, I guess, on one and using a handheld phone through the hands-free system on her automobile. She was driving a Jaguar. She broadsided somebody and killed them. It was a 27-year-old biomedical science graduate over in England. She was 31, a mother of an 8-year-old son, single mother of an 8-year-old son. And the judge, in evaluating the case, decided to sentence her to 6 years in prison. Think about that for a minute. 6 years in prison. The parents of the young man who was killed said 60 years wouldn't have been enough. But the point I'm trying to make is that we're going to see a lot more of this. I have no doubt about it. The judge, in handing down the 6-year sentence, made a comment that this is an extreme plague on society. And it really has gotten horribly bad. I think every single one of us probably has a story to tell about, some idiot driving down the road, not paying attention, either drifts off the road or almost hits somebody. We've all seen it. And when we see these cars that you can spot them, you can just be driving down the road, and when a car does something, you say to yourself, dollar says they're texting or looking at their cell phone or not paying attention. And 99 times out of 100, you're right. I ran across another story. Traffic backed down on a highway out in California, and the driver on the highway behind him, doing about 70 miles an hour, plows into the back of the car, kills the driver's wife and his mother-in-law, who were sitting in the back, 53-year-old woman and a woman in her mid-70s. And you just think, how senseless is that? I mean, this isn't even drinking. This is just driving while distracted. Put those cell phones down. Encourage your kids to put those cell phones down. If you want to prove to yourself how distracting it is, just think, have you ever looked up from ending a call and looked up and not known where you were on the highway? They're dangerous. Well, enough for that. We're going to break. I'm Brad Parker, and this is Bar Talk. I hope you'll call in. I'm the attorney you want, but hope you never need. This is AM 1160 KVCE, DFW's Business Authority. Back in a moment.
1160 AM KVCE, Dallas-Fort Worth's Business Authority.
Tune in Thursday evenings 5 to 6 as KVCE's Believers in Business presents the Family Law Hour with attorneys Frank Skipper and Donna Smith, discussing divorce, child support, custody, mediation, adoption, and all other areas of family law. Both Frank and Donna focus their practices exclusively on family law. That's the Family Law Hour, tomorrow at 5, right here on AM 1160 KVCE, and online at kvceradio.com. Brought to you by the David Wynn Law Firm and the law offices of Donna J. Smith.
A Select Quote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I impartially shopped the highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $23 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 1-800-579-9368. That's 1-800-579-9368. 1-800-579-9368. Or go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Tennessee Hi, I'm Rick Plum, Certified Financial Planner. At RJL Wealth Management, we teach strategies about how Social Security benefits may fit in your retirement plan. There's a lot to learn, and it can be a complicated subject. So we're focusing a special episode of our Bucket Strategy Live webinar series exclusively on Social Security strategies. Wednesday evening, August 27th, it's the Back to School Social Security webinar, part of RJL Wealth Management's educational series, Bucket Strategy Live. We'll give you a refresher on the basics and advanced strategies for Social Security planning, and we'll review the potential advantages of delaying taking benefits, spousal benefits, how benefits are taxed, and more, and it's all free.
Wednesday evening, August 27th, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. Rick Plum, CFP, and RJL Wealth Management Advisors answer your questions during the Back to School Social Security webinar. Enroll online at bucketstrategy.com. Bucketstrategy.com. Rick Plum, CFP, is a registered representative of and offers securities through Lucia Securities, LLC, member SIPC, and affiliate of RJL Wealth Management, LLC.
At Parker Law Firm, people matter. We have an unwavering commitment to people who have been seriously harmed by the negligence or wrongdoing of others. Our practice focuses on those who have been killed or seriously injured in major trucking or car accidents, or whose lives have been seriously disrupted by the bad faith conduct of an insurance company.
Hi, I'm Brad Parker, Principal Partner at Parker Law Firm. I'm board certified in personal injury trial law by the Texas Board of Legal Specialization. I'm also the immediate past President of the Texas Trial Lawyers Association. When you or a loved one has been seriously injured in an accident caused by another person's negligence, you may not know where to go or who to trust. Our firm is built on years of trial experience, a tradition of personal service, and a reputation for zealous representation of our clients. We're dedicated to providing experienced and comprehensive legal assistance to individuals and their families during their times of need.
Let the attorneys from Parker Law Firm help you. Get a free consultation. Call 817-503-9200. ParkerLawFirm.com. Principal Office, Bedford, Texas.
Tired of getting less than 1% interest from your bank? To get sky-high dividends, log on to freedividendreport.com. Mark Skousen's free special report lists 3 dividend plays that will bring you consistent sky-high dividends. Discover the special money-making advantages of high dividend equities in Dr. Mark Skousen's free special report, 3 dividend plays with sky-high returns. To get your free report, log on to freedividendreport.com. Log on now, freedividendreport.com.
DFW's Business Authority, 1160 AM, KVCE.
Welcome back to Believers in Business Bar Talk with Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer Brad Parker, right here on AM 1160 KVCE. Have questions? Get answers. Call in at 214-787-1160. That's 214-787-1160. You can check it out online at kvceradio.com. Brought to you by the Parker Law Firm.
Welcome back. I appreciate you hanging with me this afternoon. Before the break, we were talking a little bit about distracted driving, and got an email wanting to know will laws soon be on the books concerning distracted driving, and that's an excellent question. As president of the Texas Trial Lawyers Association, and before that VP of Legislative Affairs, I've spent lots and lots of time in Austin over the last several legislative sessions. And in the last session in particular, there were more than one bill introduced that would have outlawed driving while texting. And unfortunately, it met a demise. It never got past the committee, never even got on the House floor, if I'm remembering correctly. There's a lot of interest out there. For some reason, people argue, well, the government can't tell us what to do. Well, yeah, they do. They tell you wear your seat belts, and sometimes we just need a little kick in the rear end to make us behave the right way, make us behave like adults and responsible citizens. If you want to go out there and hurt yourself, that's one thing. But when your conduct begins to hurt somebody else, that's a whole different thing. And, I'm sure there will be more bills in the upcoming legislative session, and it'll be kind of interesting to watch what segments, what groups move for and against the bill. It's the old adage about watching legislation and bologna being made. Don't do it. It's not a pretty process or sight. It's very, very true, and it'd be very surprising to you to see the different interest at fighting against one another on something that seems so common sense. But in the meantime, education. Educate your kids. The high schools, the driving courses are all now educating the kids better. You have contracts about not texting and driving. But it goes more than that. It's the talking on the phone, even checking your text messages. Forget about texting itself, even checking them. So anyway, that good question, and we can only hope that laws will be passed, and we'll see some prosecutions on this, I suspect, and more, unfortunately. It costs people's lives in order for society to change a lot of times, and even then it's a slow process. Well, one of the things I want to talk about today was the $27 million verdict that McDonald's had rendered against it out in Bryan, Texas, home of College Station and A&M. As we go through this, if you have any questions or you want to make any comments, I encourage you to call in. It's kind of a hot topic, 214-787-1160. But in general, I want to tell you that the verdict in Bryan College Station was against McDonald's for $27 million. And what happened in essence was a young man and young woman who were Blinn, the school associated with Texas A&M, had been out, had gone to McDonald's, fight broke out, and the young man was stomped to death, and his girlfriend was trying to get him to the hospital. There was a wreck. She died in that wreck, and McDonald's was held responsible for it. Before I get into the details of why the jury obviously felt like McDonald's was responsible, I think it's really important to understand and appreciate what we call premises liability law in Texas. There is not a day that goes by that I do not talk to people who have been hurt by whatever. Typically it's a fall or a falling object. Someone trips. Someone is injured somehow on someone else's property, and that's called premises liability. And there is a vast majority of thought by most people who aren't lawyers that believe that if you get hurt on someone else's property, they are responsible. And most people are very shocked and surprised to learn that is far, far from the case. That it is under exceptional circumstances, I should say, that the premise owner or the owner of the property is going to be held liable and responsible for what happens and your injuries or your damages. You'll typically see this in a grocery store. Someone falls, breaks a hip, just name it. Something falls off the shelf and hits them in the head. Someone trips in a parking lot that is decayed and deteriorating and not maintained well. Someone comes over to your home and trips in a pothole in your front yard, or on a broken step on your front porch. All of these things happen, and people are always calling, because you young people probably don't appreciate this, but as you get older and older, you don't want to fall. Falls are not good, and you're going to hurt yourself. And obviously, the older you are, the bigger chance you have of having a very serious injury if you fall, especially if you fall downstairs. Broken ankles, broken hips, broken arms. I have a case where a lady fell down some stairs because there wasn't a hand railing. She lost her balance and there was no hand railing on the stairs, and she tumbled and just shattered her elbow, and it's been infected and just a whole host of problems. But we're representing her in that case. But it's very, very difficult, these cases are. And there's three different standards, if you will, because how the law interprets the duty the landowner or property owner owes you is based on who you are. And what I mean by that is, are you trespassing? Are you there without permission? Or are you just over there as a social host? You've come over to my house for a barbecue and a swim in the pool. Or are you visiting a grandmother at her apartment complex? Or are you going into a local grocery store or a chain store or the mall? Are you conducting business? Are you out buying something? Are you at the car lot? All of those situations create different responsibilities and duties and obligations on the part of the property owner as it pertains to you. And as you might well expect, a trespasser doesn't have much rights, and well, they should not. The law says that if you are a trespasser, the landowner only has the duty, if you will, not to injure a trespasser willfully, wantonly, or through gross negligence. So, in other words, a landowner could have a dangerous condition on their property that they're fully cognizant of, like an open pit that fills up with water. And if someone is trespassing and falls in that pit and drowns, the landowner is not responsible for that person drowning. Now, of course, there's exceptions to all generalities, but in general, that's the case. One of the exceptions on a trespassing is for young kids. We called it the attractive nuisance doctrine. If you know you've got that pit over there full of water and you know kids are always going over there to swim because it's in the middle of nowhere and they don't have any other place to swim, then the law says you might have some duties and obligations to those young children who you know are going to be over there swimming. Another type of a person on the property will be what we call a licensee. And that is a person that's basically a social guest. You invite them over to your house, and they fall at your house, whether it's carpet or the sidewalk or your steps leading to your front door are broken and someone trips and falls on it. Or maybe you've got an indentation or a hole in your yard. You know about it because you mow over it every week, but the grass covers it up, and they step in it, twist and fall and break their ankle or break their hip. What do you owe? What kind of duty do you owe to them? Well, from a legal standpoint, not much more than a trespasser. It says that a person who is a licensee deserves not to be knowingly hurt. That is, that the owner of the property has a duty to warn of known dangers, but they don't have a duty to go find the known dangers and look for them and inspect the property. So I want to talk next about the what we call an invitee, and that's where most people fall in, the invitee. It's important that you understand this because we put it in context with the McDonald's verdict here in just a minute. But now we got to go to break. I'm Brad Parker. This is Bar Talk, and I'm the attorney you want, but hope you never need. Come back and listen to the next segment. We'll talk about it a little bit more. $27 million verdict against McDonald's. Thanks.
This is 1160 AM KVCE. KVCE, Dallas-Fort Worth's Business Authority.
Hoorah, veterans! It's about time our troops have a voice. Kilroy's Conversation is that voice. This is Major Andrew White, a veteran of the United States Army for 19 years. A father, a husband, a dedicated American to serve in his country along with the millions of other veterans. This is a show that discusses VA benefits, job training, medical needs, and more for today's veterans. So join me, Major Andrew White, on Kilroy's Conversation.
So tune in Sunday from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. right here on AM 1160 KVCE.
Join me, Michael Bull, for the Commercial Real Estate Show, brought to you by Bull Realty and France Media. Commercial Real Estate, where America lives, works, and plays. Each week we focus on topics of interest to business owners, entrepreneurs, and real estate users, investors, and professionals. Insightful analysis, entertaining discussions, and real estate opportunities right here on the Commercial Real Estate Show.
Tune in every Saturday at 8 a.m. on Dallas-Fort Worth's Business Authority, 1160 AM KVCE.
Boss Academy Radio wants to give back to its listeners. For the first time in 10 years, Tony Robbins is coming back to Dallas to help you unleash the power within.
Are you going to give up or move forward? Are you going to blame somebody or are you going to change something? Whatever you do is going to shape your destiny.
Turn fear into power and transform everything from finances to your relationships to your health. This isn't hyper motivation, but a life-changing event hosted by a man who has helped transform and influence the lives of more than 8 million people worldwide. When registering to attend this powerful, life-changing 4-day seminar, get your special Boss Academy discount. All you have to do is dial 858-535-6220 and tell them Boss Academy sent you. Unleash the power within, where the impossible becomes possible with Tony Robbins Live, October 23rd through the 26th, the K. Bailey Hutchinson Convention Center, 650 South Griffin Street in Dallas. Visit kvceradio.com or call today and mention Boss Academy, 858-535-6220. That's 858-535-6220.
When I first got out of law school, I went to work for a big downtown Fort Worth law firm. It was a prestigious job, but I never felt fulfilled professionally helping banks and companies. I didn't have that fulfillment that kind of drove me to be a lawyer to begin with. And the more I saw and learned, the more I realized that maybe being in the big firm wasn't the right thing for me. I went out on my own to kind of start doing some personal injury work and some what we call insurance bad faith, because you get the opportunity to help real people. Your efforts and your success makes a difference in their lives. And that is very satisfying and very rewarding to me. And it drives me every morning when I wake up to be able to help people. The rewarding times after a case is settled, the cards I get from clients, just to say, thank you, you made a difference in my life. I never really got that from the CEOs of the banks that I represented. It is truly rewarding to know that you've made a difference in someone's life and you've really helped them out.
Principal Office, Bedford, Texas.
True story. A Seattle man went to bed with nearly $300,000 in his bank account. By morning, the money had vanished because of some identity thief. Can you imagine? What if some thief got to your life savings? Look, no one can stop all identity theft, but here's what you do. Arm your bank and retirement accounts with LifeLock Ultimate Plus. Yep, LifeLock's best just got better. LifeLock Ultimate Plus is the most comprehensive identity theft protection available, helping protect your identity, your bank and retirement accounts, credit cards, even the equity in your home. How many other ID theft protection services do that? 0. So why risk it? Get LifeLock Ultimate Plus and sleep easier knowing if a thief goes after your identity or life savings, LifeLock's on it. Visit LifeLock.com now and enter promo code AWARE or call and mention AWARE to save 10% on your LifeLock Ultimate Plus membership. 1-800-LifeLock. 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 Network does not cover all transactions.
From Wall Street to the Metroplex, this is 1160 AM KVCE, Dallas-Fort Worth's business authority.
Welcome back to Bar Talk with Brad Parker. You can check it out online at kvceradio.com. Brought to you by the Parker Law Firm. Have questions? Get answers. Call in at 214-787-1160. That's 214-787-1160.
What'd you say? Welcome back. While we spun out just a minute ago, I was kind of boring you with the nuances, if you will, of premises liability law, but they're important to know. And I have a better appreciation for this McDonald's verdict. So hang with me for just a minute and we'll do it. In the meantime, if you want to call in and talk about this, 214-787-1160. And if you got any other legal issue you'd like to talk about and you don't have time to call in today, feel free to drop me an email. My website is parkerlawfirm.com, parkerlawfirm.com, or you can email me at brad@parkerlawfirm.com. My phone number at the office is 817-503-9200. That's 817-503-9200. And I encourage you to call me. I'd be happy to talk with anybody about their legal issues. Give a free consultation either over the phone or have you come into my office if necessary. If I think I can help you, I certainly will. And if I can't help you, I will do my best, my very best, to get you to somebody who can. So call me, whether it's a family law, probate, criminal. Of course, I specialize and I'm board certified in personal injury trial law, but I will get you to somebody that can help you. Now, we were talking about trespassers. Trespassers, the property owner, just basically, in a nutshell, can't willfully hurt them. Then we talked about social guests, or what the law calls licensees. The law says, listen, you've got to warn them of known dangers or correct the danger. So when I say, watch your step there, I've warned you. If I say, be careful, there's a hole out in the yard, I've warned you. But I don't have any duty to go inspect and find that hole, or go inspect and find those broken steps, or go inspect and find anything wrong if you're a social guest and a licensee. If I know about it, have actual knowledge, then I need to tell you, or I need to fix it. But if you are what we call an invitee, a business invitee, I come to your store to shop, to buy something, we're both getting a benefit. I'm getting the benefit of being able to purchase something. You're getting the benefit of getting my money for me purchasing something. And the degree of responsibility is cranked up a little bit higher. The business owner has the responsibility to know or should have known of a dangerous condition. So therefore, the business owner has basically a responsibility to inspect their premises to make sure they're safe. Because if they didn't know about it, the question becomes, should they have known about it? And not every little defect is going to trigger liability. You know, maybe they didn't know, but the one thing that you see most often is someone slips in water or some liquid substance on a floor, and they think, oh, well, the store's responsible for it. Well, no, not necessarily, because if the store did not know about it and they were just there on their regular scheduled routine of inspecting their premises 10 minutes ago, then they didn't have a duty to warn or to remedy the situation, and they're not going to be responsible. So it's a pretty intricate and pretty interesting part of the law But what happened on this McDonald's deal? You've got two kids who, one of which was here from the Metroplex area out in Flower Mound, who was going to A&M. Another young lady who was from Dripping Springs. They'd been out that evening. They decided to run by McDonald's on their way home. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning. And at this McDonald's, I'm not clear, I haven't found out exactly why, but the young man gotten into an altercation with a mob. Well, let's say a mob. There were about, from what I understand, 150 to 200 kids congregating in the parking lot. And for whatever reason, they came after him and basically beat him to death, stomped him to death. Almost. He was still alive. His girlfriend manages to get him into a car driven by another friend who was new to the town. This was in February of 2012. And they're on their way to the hospital, and the car being driven by a friend blew a red light and was T-boned, if you will, by another car. When that happened, the car in which young Denton Ward out of Flower Mound and his friend Lauren Crisp out of Dripping Springs, that vehicle spun around and apparently slammed into a utility pole, killing them both. Now, the autopsy or the evidence apparently revealed that the young man who had been beaten died from his wounds, not from the car wreck. However, the young lady, clearly, no dispute, she died from the car wreck. The question became, was McDonald's responsible for this tragic event? And the jury came back and determined that, yes, they were. And so you think, how in the world can McDonald's be responsible for what happens with a bunch of hoodlum kids who beat up another kid, a young man, and then they get in a car and drive away and get involved in a car accident? I mean, what's going on here? Well, a lot of different things go on, and there's always some things, and I'll talk about this when we come back from break, but what the evidence did show was that between 2009 and 2012, at this particular McDonald's where this all happened and where it went down, between the hours of 2 a.m., this was a 24-hour McDonald's, by the way, and there's apparently 4 of them, or at least 4 of them, in the area of Bryan, Texas, there at A&M. Between the hours of 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. on weekend nights, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, between 2009 and 2012, the police had responded to 88 911 calls. 88. The same period of time at another McDonald's on George P. Bush Boulevard in Bryan had 18 calls during this same time. So you had 88 versus 18. On Texas Avenue, another McDonald's, during the same period of time, same hours, same nights of the weekend, 12 calls. And at another McDonald's on Rock Prairie Drive, apparently 7 calls. So in essence, you had at the one McDonald's where this event occurred, almost 5 times the number of calls than the next closest one on George P. Bush Boulevard. So this McDonald's clearly had some issues there, to say the least. They also said that from 2012 to the present, at the time of trial, they'd had 63 calls at this particular McDonald's compared to 22 at the one down the street, 16 and 6. So clearly this particular McDonald's was having a problem. And the evidence showed that what would happen is typically after the bars closed, people would congregate in this particular McDonald's on University Drive there in Bryan and just hang out. And management knew or should have known, because this is an invitee, remember, a business invitee. The question was, did management know, or should they have known, that this congregation of kids, and we're talking about a bunch, 150 to 200 kids congregating in the parking lot on a regular basis on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights, some combination there, and being called out, the police called out on at least 88 times. Did they know, or should they have known, of the dangerous condition that was going on up there? Of those 88 calls, 4 of them were assaults, 29 of them were disorderly conducts. Clearly something was going on at that McDonald's. The other McDonald's had 2 assaults, 1 assault, and 1 disorderly conduct. So the calls were very, very different at this McDonald's and were of a violent nature, or things were certainly getting out of hand. So the jury had that to deliberate with. And apparently the management team at McDonald's took the position that they didn't know. It reminds me of those 3 monkeys: see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. And that's kind of the way apparently they testified at trial. And the trial lawyer, a local attorney here, presented some evidence that at least one of those managers had made at least one of those 911 calls. And, it's kind of unfathomable, if that's a word, that you're a manager at a McDonald's during those hours, on those days, on those weekend nights, and you've got 150 to 200 kids out in your parking lot that you don't know about it, or that you don't know the police have been out there at least 88 times or been called out there. Who knows how many other times they had rolled up on it. Some of the things the police said were also very interesting. Apparently the police officers came and testified that they had actually spoken to management about needing security there at that McDonald's to help, police the situation. I'll come back after the break and tell you a little bit more about what was going on. This is Bar Talk. I'm Brad Parker, the attorney you want but hope you never need, on AM 1160 KVCE, DFW's Business Authority. See you in a minute.
This is 1160 AM KVCE, Dallas-Fort Worth's Business Authority.
Saturday mornings at 9, tune in for A Bridge to Care and Comfort, discussing caregiver issues and delving into all aspects of hospice care. Hosted by Army veteran Pete Prasad, a loving husband, father, and experienced respiratory care practitioner for 36 years, who has personally experienced the need for hospice care through the loss of his sister to cancer. This year alone, approximately 2.5 million Americans will die, and approximately 3 in 10 will need hospice care for their final weeks or months of life. A Bridge to Care and Comfort explores the emotional, psychological, and spiritual questions, as well as medical and financial ones, surrounding hospice care and caring for elders. Join us Saturday mornings at 9 for a program full of heartfelt, poignant, and humorous stories from families and staff. And most importantly, to learn why hospice care is so important to you, your loved ones, friends, and neighbors. A Bridge to Care and Comfort with Pete Prasad, your resource to compassionate end-of-life services. Saturday mornings at 9 on 1160 AM KVCE or online at kvceradio.com.
The experts at web.com want to build your business a successful website for free, just like we did for these current web.com customers.
We've used and looked at other website designers, but there's nobody better than web.com.
Web.com can build your website in as little as 7 days free. Plus, we'll promote it on all the major search engines like Google, Yahoo, and Bing. If after 30 days you're happy, we'll continue to provide promotion, hosting, support, and maintenance, all for one low monthly fee. If not, cancel and pay nothing.
If you're in business today and you don't have a web presence, you won't be taken seriously.
Call right now and you'll also get a free .com or .net domain name for your new website, powered by VeriSign, the world's leading domain name provider.
Call 1-800-998-2962 or go to web.com/radio. That's 1-800-998-2962. No upfront charge for site build, after which ongoing fees apply. Rights to site are relinquished when canceled. Domain included during active service, after which fees apply.
Ow! Stupid bugs! Ow!
If pests are pestering you this summer, give Alley Cat Pest Control a call. A top performer in the pest control industry for over 25 years, offering the most comprehensive pest control services to the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex and surrounding counties. Alley Cat Pest Control is dedicated to providing a wide array of quality eradication services to apartment complexes, manufacturing facilities, food industry facilities, churches, and residential properties. Our technicians are trained specialists providing our clients with timely, effective pest control services, from termite and bug detection and eradication, including removal of spiders, wasps, bees, ants, roaches, and even vermin. There's no pest too big or too small for Alley Cat Pest Control. Protect your investment and don't let termites destroy your home. Don't let bed bugs ruin a good night's sleep. Give us a call today, 817-469-4849. That's 817-469-4849. Or visit alleycatpestandtermite.com.
At Parker Law Firm, people matter. We have an unwavering commitment to people who have been seriously harmed by the negligence or wrongdoing of others. Our practice focuses on those who have been killed or seriously injured in major trucking or car accidents, or whose lives have been seriously disrupted by the bad faith conduct of an insurance company.
Hi, I'm Brad Parker, principal partner at Parker Law Firm. I'm board certified in personal injury trial law by the Texas Board of Legal Specialization. I'm also the immediate past president of the Texas Trial Lawyers Association. When you or a loved one has been seriously injured in an accident caused by another person's negligence, you may not know where to go or who to trust. Our firm is built on years of trial experience, a tradition of personal service, and a reputation for zealous representation of our clients. We're dedicated to providing experienced and comprehensive legal assistance to individuals and their families during their times of need.
Let the attorneys from Parker Law Firm help you. Get a free consultation. Call 817-503-9200. ParkerLawFirm.com. Principal Office, Bedford, Texas.
You're listening to 1160 AM KVCE.
Welcome back to Believers in Business Bar Talk with Texas Board Certified Personal Injury Trial Lawyer Brad Parker, right here on AM 1160 KVCE. Have questions? Get answers. Call in at 214-787-1160. That's 214-787-1160. You can check it out online at kvceradio.com. Brought to you by the Parker Law Firm.
Welcome back. I'm Brad Parker, and this is Bar Talk, and we're talking about the McDonald's verdict that came out late last week, I think last Wednesday or Thursday. That case was tried for 6 days. The jury heard all kinds of evidence. They were deliberated for only 4 hours before coming back with a verdict, which is relatively quick on a case like this. But the question is, why did they attribute the blame to McDonald's? As I explained a moment ago, there's a $27 million verdict. The duty, the questions that the jury was asked to answer was, did McDonald's know of a dangerous condition on their property? And if so, or did they know or should they have known? And if so, did they appropriately warn or protect the guests, their customers, from their dangerous condition on the property? And as I was mentioning before the break, there had been numerous police calls that we know of, just calls. That doesn't even count the roll-ups. I don't believe that just, police are out and seeing something. The police officers were called to the witness stand by the plaintiff's counsel and testified that they had asked if I understand right, they had asked McDonald's or instructed them, you need to get some security personnel out here. You have got a problem on your hands. There were massive crowds there apparently every or almost every Friday, Saturday, and sometimes Sunday night. There would be gatherings of hundreds, 150, 200 people out there. There were always fights. The police were being called out to break up fights. The year leading up to it, one report is that police were called out more than 20 times to break up fights at the McDonald's in the year leading up to the deaths, but they failed to install any security, install any cameras, hire any security personnel, despite doing huge volumes of business late hours. Everybody's, it's a college town. I mean, the bars are closing. They're probably extremely busy from 2 to 4. Yet they're allowing this dangerous condition to exist on their premises and not doing anything about it. The jury saw through that. Hindsight's 20/20, but McDonald's decided to defend this case not on, hey, these kids could have seen this big crowd and kept driving on. They knew that this was a problem themselves by just seeing it. We didn't have the responsibility to do anything. No, the way McDonald's decided to try and handle this was say the kids didn't get killed at McDonald's. They were killed in the car wreck. Well, that's not very good defense, obviously, especially when your managers who would come in and testify in front of a jury and say, oh, no, we didn't know there was a problem. We had no idea there was a problem. Just the constant denials, and I'm sure they were cross-examined very skillfully and artfully, just the denials by the managers about their lack of supposed knowledge. It was very disingenuous. Juries don't like that. They obviously were very angry at McDonald's. But they were also probably very angry that McDonald's didn't even try to put up a defense. They, by ignoring the 1,000-pound elephant in the room, they almost said, yeah, we know we're responsible, but you know what? It's not our fault this time because the kids got killed elsewhere. Well, that's clearly true about the young lady. She did die in the car wreck, but that wasn't true about the young man. And in fact, even though McDonald's apparently had this defense going, they, from what I read and what I understand, they didn't even produce a witness to testify that the young man was killed by the car wreck, that it was pretty much established by the plaintiff's counsel that he died as a result of the wounds he suffered at the hands of the unruly mob in the parking lot. Juries are wonderful, wonderful things. They usually get it right. It's easy for us to second guess them because we weren't there. We weren't hearing all the evidence, but they were. And juries are made up of people just like you and me and your parents and your neighbors and your friends. And if you haven't noticed recently, Texas isn't exactly what I would call a bastion of liberal thought, especially in College Station. We have a very, very conservative state. Most people are extremely conservative. You have also the stigma, if you will, and the misperception, if you will, of the Stella Lindbeck case against McDonald's several years ago, the hot coffee case, which I could do a whole program on that as well. But people tend to say, well, that was just a crazy jury. Well, what made them crazy? Because they're your neighbors, you're members of your community? No, these are people that are members of the community. They are thoughtful, they are intelligent, and they are well-meaning and hard-working people who are trying to do the right thing based on the evidence that's been brought to them. And, if they decided to do something, you've got to give them the benefit of the doubt. If you were on that jury, you might have done the exact same thing if you'd heard all of the exact same evidence. And that's what you got to keep in mind, folks. When you read the newspaper and you see these headlines, the immediate thought is, oh, my God, runaway jury. How could that ever happen? Well, it happened. And it happened for a reason. And they're trying to send a message. And the message is you've got to be a good neighbor. Just because you're a big corporation doesn't mean you can run roughshod and get away with whatever it is that you're trying to get away with. Juries aren't elected. They're not subject to bribes. They're not subject to lobbying efforts like our congressmen and legislators and senators are. They don't have anything to gain by their decisions. And in fact, I would submit to you, they probably got a lot to lose by their decisions because their friends and family are going to be now pestering them. How in the world could you do that? And making them justify what they did that they knew in their hearts and their minds was the right thing. I believe in the jury system. They normally 99% of the time get it right. And I think from everything I've read in this, and again, I don't know all of it, but I've tried to see everything. everything I've read and seen, I think they probably got it right. Now, whether or not it'll stick on appeal, that's the travesty, in my opinion, about Texas justice, is that our appellate courts skew and do not believe in the jury system the way that I do and many people believe that should be, and want to supplant their reasoning and decisions for those of the jurors. Well, that's all I've got today for Bar Talk. We've got a great show coming up next. The Bloomberg News Hour is next. And I sure want to encourage you to listen in tomorrow night. We've got Frank and Donna with the Family Law Hour. I want you to be sure and tune in next week on Bar Talk with me, Brad Parker, the attorney you want but hope you never need. I want to say thanks to Matt Broom, the producer, who helps me through and keeps me on time. And listen, if you had a question and I didn't get to you, call me at my office, 817-503-9200, or you can email me at brad@parkerlawfirm.com. That's brad@parkerlawfirm.com. I sure appreciate you. I'm looking forward to visiting with you again next week. Thank you.